Okay, so I just wanted to have a bit of a chat and ask you, since the budget release, how has that impacted our local community and how you see it impacting long term?
Yeah, the budget was obviously a shock, but not a shock, and still not officially through yet, but highly likely it will go through. They want it through by July 2nd, and then there's a bit of lag from when that actually comes in. There's definitely an effect. Main thing is borrowing capacity. So it's knocking off a good 100, 200,000 off people's borrowing capacity by needing to remove the negative gearing. So the majority of the banks have already removed negative gearing, even though it isn't legislated yet, just preempting that it will come. So that's probably the biggest hit is just where people thought they would be. Key one is if you had a pre-approval pre-budget, that pre-approval is now invalid. So that's something people really need to be aware of for an investment, obviously. If it was owner-occupied, it's fine. And it just comes down to structure now. So with the changes to trusts, changes to negative gearing, the conversations I'm having most of the time is have you talk to your accountant or have you talk to your financial planner? I can lend within any entity. That's the easy part. It's making sure it's set up right from the start. So that's probably the biggest thing now is where is it held? So a lot of the time people held it in trusts. That may still be the right thing, but it's a conversation that needs to be had with those advisors now, because if you go and buy it in an entity or in your personal name, and then your advisor says, no, it should be over here, you will likely be paying stamp duty again, potentially capital gains, all of that sort of stuff within wherever it is held initially. So talk to advisors prior and then go forward. But in terms of the local market, to answer that, I'm starting to see the slowdown. It's just more now where people are lending in, what entity they're lending in. But yeah, the inquiry rate on investment property, I was surprised. I thought it would dip off. It stayed pretty consistent, with people still wanting to build wealth through property.
So are you seeing more investor clients or owner-occupied, do you think, at the moment?
Oh, it's probably more owner-occupied still. So there's still that lean towards people want to get into the market. There's still that FOMO of I've missed it, and look, it is a very tough market now. So I had a lot of conversations where the borrowing capacity just isn't quite there. So as much as you've got first home guarantee scheme and those sorts of things, they're just not where they probably need to be to allow people to enter the market. It'll be interesting to see, like everything they've set out of the budget is that it will help home prices. Realistically, probably won't. But yeah, it's a decent mix. On the investor side, there's a lot of people now that are wanting to realise equity within their properties to buy that next one. So, and that's what the budget has more of a hit on, is your mum and dad investors who are wanting to do that. They now need to think differently. It's not as clean cut as we just go and buy an investment property now, but it's probably, the mix is probably still the same.
Okay. And what about in the way of like our council rates, etc.? Obviously, everything's increasing. We've just seen another increase in our rates. Is that affecting borrowing capacity, or?
It won't really have a massive effect on borrowing capacity. Like, it gets taken into account anyway, and the banks have their minimum numbers that we need to use. So not really. What it'll more have an effect on is obviously you will see it more with whether people want to raise their and it's sort of the double whammy, if you like. You've got the rate rise plus then the changes to negative gearing, changes to capital gains, etc. Whether that is like perfect storm now that rents will increase, which historically it is what has happened. So it happened back in, I think it was the 80s in Australia, and negative gearing was back within 2 years. New Zealand, same thing in the 2000s. It was there and back within 2 years because rents then increased so dramatically. So from a lending point of view, no, there's no real effect. It's more on the flip side then from an affordability post-approval, if you like. Those people that already have the loans, having these extra costs loaded in, and then anyone buying a new property not having negative gearing, they've got to juggle that now. The negative gearing, just on that, it's different. So what I mean by that is, whereas you used to get the tax benefit that year, it's now just delayed. So it's almost treated like a business. So you just have your delayed losses.
Okay.
So you carry forward losses, and then that is offsetting any profit. But all it means is people will want to get to profit quicker than, because there's no real tax benefit as such. So again, that's where the whole structure piece comes into it. But yeah, it's a funny time to be in the investment space. Owner occupied is still the same. It's still a bit out of control. Lots of people still wanting to get in. Lots of demand, not enough supply. The usual story. Investment now is where people really need to get proper advice before they go head first into buying an investment.
Okay. Love that. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Appreciate it.